Good afternoon, and welcome to a candidates forum featuring candidates for Elk Grove City Council District Number 4. I am Tricia Erhammer, and a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator of today's forum. This forum is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission. This forum is being viewed live by an audience here in the Sacramento Board of Supervisors chambers and by live cable television audience at home. It is also being taped for rebroadcast times throughout the campaign season. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization made up of both men and women, established to promote political responsibility through informed and active voter participation. The League does not support, oppose, or evaluate political candidates or parties. Although our nonpartisanship policy does not permit endorsement of political candidates, we do, after very careful study, take positions on certain political issues. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each of our candidates will be offered a 1.5-minute opening. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our panel. The questions were submitted by the panelists and reviewed by League members. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. And finally, the candidates will be offered a 1-minute closing. In the interest of time and decorum, I'll ask our audience here in the chambers to please hold all applause until the end of this forum. Now, I would like to introduce the candidates who are running for Elk Grove City Council District Number 4. To my immediate right, Gary Davis. And to my left, Jimmy Johnson. Thank you for coming and participating in today's forum. Also running for this office is James White, who was unable to be with us today. I would also like to welcome our panel members today asking the questions. Cameron McDonald from the Elk Grove Citizen. Foon Ray, he's on the editorial board of the Sacramento Bee, and Loretta Kalb, also from the Sacramento Bee. Thank you for taking time in your busy afternoon and joining us this afternoon. Now we are ready to begin with opening statements. The candidates have drawn straws before the beginning of this forum for the order. And Gary Davis, would you please offer your opening statement?
Sure. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum. Thank you to everyone in the audience and to everybody that's watching. You know, I love Elk Grove. I have my wife and I are raising our 3 small children in Elk Grove. It is a great community with hardworking families and strong neighborhoods throughout. 10 years ago, the community of Elk Grove decided to incorporate. We became a city. And it got off to a little bit of a rocky start, in my opinion, sort of adversarial, which is why 4 years ago I made the decision to run for the city council and represent my community. And I was elected because Elk Grove demanded change. In the past 4 years, we've taken very important steps to move our city in the right direction. We stopped runaway growth, and we started building a community that we can be proud of with good jobs, safer streets, and reduced traffic. As the mayor of Elk Grove, I had the opportunity to start the Neighborhood Leaders Summits, which ensured, and this has been an absolute bedrock of who I am as a person, but ensured that the city listens to residents before it makes decisions. As the economy struggles, our challenges as a city will continue to be there as well. But I'm committed to creating a stronger Elk Grove by balancing the city budget as we have and continuing to put more police officers on the streets and make Elk Grove a place to raise your family. If elected to be a second term, I'll continue to be your voice at City Hall, and I have a number of priorities that I look forward to talking to you about today. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. And now, Jimmy Johnson.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having this debate. living in Elk Grove, we all know the problems that we currently face in our city. Crime has doubled in the last 4 years. Violent crime has tripled. The reason why is because we employ only half the state average of police officers here in Elk Grove. Elk Grove ranks 51st out of the 55 cities in its category for police per resident ratio. Businesses are also leaving Elk Grove. They're going to Folsom. They're going to Placerville. They're going elsewhere in the community because here in Elk Grove we charge higher fees than the surrounding community. Here in Elk Grove we put more burdens, we put more regulations on businesses than the places in Folsom and Roseville and so forth. We are not attractive to businesses, and so businesses are taking their jobs and their revenues and they're going elsewhere in Sacramento. But most importantly, the people are leaving Elk Grove. You can't drive through a neighborhood without seeing the streets lined with for sale signs. You know, we have an election coming up in November, but the people have already voted. They have voted with their feet. They are moving out of Elk Grove because Elk Grove is moving in the wrong direction. Our city council, including incumbent Davis, have failed us. They have failed to get the job done. As city council member, I will reverse that trend and put Elk Grove on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the question and answer portion of this forum. Cameron, will you please direct the first question to Gary Davis?
Yes, during the opening remarks of both candidates, they both mentioned their interest in bringing more officers into the police force. How would this be carried out and executed during difficult budget times for the city?
Sure, this is a challenging time. Elk Grove has struggled financially due to a decrease in property taxes and sales taxes, as every other city and community has across the country. One thing I'm proud to say is that while other communities all over the country are laying off police officers, Elk Grove has not. We've been able to maintain our police force, and by the way, our police officers are doing a very, very good job. And if you look at I think it's important to point out the facts because facts matter. Violent crime, since Elk Grove has become a police department, has decreased every single year consistently. The first year it came down 13.32%, the second year 5.78%. Violent crime is down this year so far by 11.9%. The facts matter, and crime is decreasing in Elk Grove, but we do need more police officers. In fact, I'm proud to say that a grant that I fought very, very hard for was just awarded 2 days ago, so that Elk Grove will increase their police officers by 5% moving forward.
Thank you. And Jimmy Johnson.
Okay. Crime is not going down in Elk Grove. All right, the numbers speak for themselves. They come from Jerry Brown up in Sacramento from the Department of Justice. Violent crime has risen, has tripled in the last 4 years. I spoke to the police chief a couple weeks ago. He's afraid, and he's telling us that it's very likely that crime will continue to rise because Sacramento County has recently closed the juvenile detention center and has started reducing the number of misdemeanors it's prosecuting. You have cops telling stories of how it's taking them longer to do the paperwork than the criminals are getting arrested, processing, and going back out on the streets. We need more cops. We have half the state average. We have 125, 126 cops. The state average would put us about 250. The only way we're going to get to that average is if we freeze our other discretionary spending. We have a $49 million budget. I'm proposing that we freeze that spending other than COLA adjustments, other than cost of living adjustments, and all increased revenue that comes over the next 5 years as the population increases and other ways, that money is set aside strictly for putting more cops on the street.
Thank you. We'll move to our next question. Foon, will you please direct this question first to Jimmy Johnson?
So one of the biggest expenses for local governments, not so much for newer cities like Elk Grove, but in general, is pensions and benefits for the employees. Would you support reducing them in any way, going to a two-tier system for new employees, or any other changes to public employee pensions?
I support a two-tier system, but it wouldn't be based on old and new employees. It'd be based on the employees that put their lives on the line and those who don't. I think the police officers earn every penny of their pensions, and I do not agree, or I will not support touching those pensions in any degree. those city employees who don't put their lives on the line, who are doing a great job, and I don't want to put it, but they're not putting their lives on the line. And 90%, 80% pensions, 110% pensions, they simply haven't earned it. Those people who put their jobs on the line, I think they've earned every dollar, and I'm not going to touch it. But in order to get our budget right, in order to be able to afford putting more cops on the streets, I would consider having a two-tier system in which, basically office personnel, their pensions are reduced and brought more in line with the private business.
Thank you. Gary Davis.
As a city council member, my job is to be a good fiscal steward with the public's resources. And I'm proud to say that every year I've served on the council, we've balanced the budgets and we've kept employee morale high. Now, we've done that through reorganization. We've done that through working collaboratively with our employees and asking them to be a part of the solution when it comes to figuring out how we save money, and it's working. And it's that collaborative approach that makes Elk Grove a desirable place to work. With respect to our police officers, we have got to continue to be aggressive about attracting and keeping the highest quality officers. Look, Elk Grove is a city of 143,000 people, and we're sitting right in the middle of South Sacramento and Stockton. There's crime all around us, and we need to ensure that we can recruit and keep the top quality police officers. And the last point I would say is with respect to the comments that were made about what the chief said. The chief was speaking to Sacramento County generally, not specific to Elk Grove. And finally, I'm proud to be endorsed by the Elk Grove Police Officers Association, a group that cares about how many cops are on the streets.
Thank you. Loretta, would you please direct the next question first to Gary Davis?
Yeah, the economy has been so difficult over the last couple of years that even today, small businesses in Elk Grove are struggling to stay open, and many of them continue to have to shut their doors. What more should the city be doing to address this problem for small business?
Sure. I'm proud to stand up here as the only endorsed candidate by the Elk Grove Chamber of Commerce and the Sacramento Regional, the Metro Chamber of Commerce. And the reason is they know how hard I've been working to make Elk Grove a competitive place to bring a business and how focused we are on growing our job space. People that know me know I'm a broken record on this issue. We have 143,000 residents. We have only 30,000 jobs. That's not healthy, that's not sustainable, and it represents poor planning. That's why I ran for the council 4 years ago, was to fix that. And we've done a ton. We cut our roadway impact fees in half. Elk Grove has cut its fees in half. No other jurisdiction in this region has been that aggressive about trying to bring jobs into the area. We created an economic development fund, which is designed to invest in helping businesses come to Elk Grove. I'm proud to say we just authorized expenditure of funds to open up Office Bay Elk Grove, which is a small business incubator so that we can help small businesses grow and thrive and stay in Elk Grove and succeed. And that's what we're all after, I believe.
Thank you. And Jimmy Johnson.
Politicians don't have the best answers for business. Business people have the best answers for business. I was walking down the street, knocking on doors, and I came across a man who owns a number of convenience stores all throughout Sacramento County. He lives here in Elk Grove. He says the only business he's closing this year is the Elk Grove store. And that's because, not because of revenue, but because the city council and the city staff make it so burdensome to do business here in Elk Grove, he's moving out. It's not worth it to him to continue to do business here in Elk Grove. And this is someone who lives here in Elk Grove. What we need to do is we need to get the business people together and say, hey, what regulations are not working for you? Why are you going to Folsom? Why are you going to Roseville? Why aren't you doing business here? What are the regulations? What are the fees? What is it that we need to change to make Elk Grove attractive to you? Because in a sense, the businesses are our customers. If we don't give the customers what they want, they're going to leave Elk Grove. And they've been doing that for the last 4 years. In order to reverse that trend, we have to give them what they want.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Cameron, would you please direct the next question first to Jimmy?
Okay. If Measure K passes this November, what do you believe should be the primary role of the mayor when it comes to city business?
Measure K is kind of an offshoot of the Charter Commission that I was a member of for the last 2 years. What we found when we went out to the public and asked them about this directly directly elected mayor issue was they wanted to elect the mayor, but they didn't want the mayor to have any more power than the other city council members. They basically want the right to say who the mayor is. They want the right to say who the mayor is who has a role in the agenda of the city and what becomes a priority on that agenda. But other than that, they don't want the mayor to be anything else than another council member. And so, taking what the people want is what we should give them. And I think the role, if Measure K is passed, is to give the people exactly what they want, someone who is the figurehead of the city, someone they can go to and point to, and someone who can set the agenda through the agenda that's on city council meetings, but nothing more than that, because that is what the people want.
Thank you. And Gary?
The mayor of a city, the mayor of the city of Elk Grove, whether it's through the rotational system or directly elected mayor, has to be somebody that is a champion for Elk Grove, somebody that will insist upon really working hard on neighborhood issues, somebody that will absolutely put residents first and ensure that they have a voice in the process, who will be a convener of neighborhood groups, bringing them to City Hall, ensuring that they are part of the process. The mayor of Elk Grove must be somebody that puts economic growth at the highest level of priority, that also works hard to keep the community safe. So whether it's elected or whether it's a rotated position, I could tell you I held the title for 1 year, and in that 1 year, I had a taste of what you could do with that position to serve the community. And I'm proud to say that as mayor, I worked very hard. There was no fanfare, but I worked behind the scenes for probably 2 weeks straight, almost full days every day, to bring Sutter Hospital to Elk Grove. Those are real jobs, and a mayor has the ability to bring real jobs to Elk Grove, and I'm proud to say I've done it.
Thank you. We'll move to the next question. Foon, if you will please direct the next question first to Gary Davis.
Sure. So, Mr. Davis, what is the biggest mistake that you've made on the city council in the last 4 years, and what would you have done differently? And for Mr. Johnson, it's sort of the same question. What's the biggest mistake that the council has made, and what would you have done differently?
I think that I have consistently been focused on serving residents, and even though in this business, in the business of local serving on local elected office, there are a lot of people in the mix, and there are a lot of groups in the mix, and it's possible for egos to get in the way. And I've seen it happen over and over, and I think that our city has had our fair share, certainly, of some bumps in the road. I would say, and I say for 3 years, I was laser focused on ignoring those petty politics. I would say the one thing I sort of have paused about is the short time earlier this year where there was some friction among the council, but what I think that there's ways that could have been avoided. But I also think that we put it on the table, we addressed it like a family does, and now as a city we're able to move forward and not worry about petty politics, but be focused on real issues that matter to Elk Grove residents.
Thank you. And Jimmy Johnson.
The biggest mistake the city council has made by far is refusing to let the people vote on their own city constitution. For 2 years, I and 6 other people drafted a city constitution at the behest of the city council. We did 2 years, spent a couple $100,000 or between $100,000 and $200,000 drafting this document. When we brought it to the city council, they refused to put it on the ballot. The people of Elk Grove have the right to vote on that document. They're the ones who wrote it. They're the ones that said, these are the decisions, this is how we want our city run, and they have the right to vote on it up or down. I don't agree with a lot of the things in the city charter. To be very honest, I might not vote for it if it does come up for it. But the fact is, the people have a right to vote on it, and they're not having that right because special interests, specifically the pipe fitters union, doesn't want to see a charter here in Elk Grove because a charter would allow the city to opt out of prevailing wages, which directly affects the union pay. That's the only reason why we haven't been given the chance to vote on that document, on our city constitution.
Thank you. Loretta, will you please direct the next question first to Mr. Johnson?
I'm going to switch tracks here a little bit and ask about the connector that is planned through from El Dorado County to Elk Grove. The problem area, the sensitive area here is the community of Sheldon on Grant Line Road. If you had to decide today make a decision on a route, how would you do it? Go through the community, go around the community, and what about the environmental consequences if you go around?
I will absolutely not support anything that goes right through Sheldon. The connector idea or the connector option that goes through Sheldon would basically destroy that town as we know it. It would drive a wedge right through the middle of it. Buildings would have to move or the entire city would basically be razed. We need that connector. Elk Grove is almost an island. It's very difficult to get to Elk Grove. I mean, going down 99 during any time of rush hour traffic, you know how long it takes just to get from, say, Citrus Heights to Elk Grove. 5 isn't much better. We need a connector to help commerce and to help people get in and out, egress and ingress into Elk Grove. However, we need to do it by causeway over the floodplain because no matter how important it is to have that causeway, it's not going to come at the expense of people's lives, people's heritage, and the history that Sheldon and that rich history that Sheldon brings to Elk Grove.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
Sure, thank you for the question. You know, I've staked my entire service on the council on one there have been a lot of issues, but one fundamental premise, and that's that I'm an advocate for neighborhoods and giving people a seat at the table in the decision-making process. So that makes me kind of a process guy because I think the process is very important. And the more people that are part of the process, the better the outcome because at the end of the day, it's a collaborative decision. And I could give you countless examples of how we've done that. With respect to the connector, it's too early to tell which route is the best route because the process has not finished. We've engaged the residents in that community aggressively, and we're going to continue to do that. We've also engaged an economic expert to do an economic analysis of the different routes, because if you go around Sheldon, you could hurt that economy. If you go right through it, you could hurt it. I think what we have to do is make sure we're using data and statistics to figure out the best route. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. So Cameron, would you please direct the next question first to Mr. Davis?
Yes, within District 4, there are quite a few foreclosed and vacant homes. What could the city do to attract prospective homeowners to Elk Grove, especially within your district, as well as the Madera area?
Well, the best thing we can do is be a city that people are proud of. Elk Grove is a wonderful place. We have an amazing school system. We have a phenomenal park system. We probably have, we have over 100 parks in Elk Grove. We are a place where people want to live, and that's evidenced by the number of people that are here. Even in this tough economic downturn, our population is still growing. The other thing that I'll say is part of the solution comes from the community, and I'm proud to say that a lot of neighborhood groups, churches, community-based organizations, they've embraced the notion of keeping their neighborhood clean and safe, and they're working closely with the city to ensure that we monitor all those sites. And they also brought to us an idea, and that idea was to create a foreclosed home registry. So every time a resident finds a foreclosed home, they let the city know, and that way we can be aggressive about ensuring our code enforcement officers drive by it on a regular basis and monitor it, because we want to make sure Elk Grove is a place we can all be proud of, and we can only do that if we're proactive. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jimmy Johnson.
There's not a whole lot we can do, especially with the state of our budget. But one thing we should look towards and see if we can afford is blight. When a house is vacated, when a house is foreclosed upon, the front yard is the first thing to go. And it's one of the first things that you, as a customer, looking at a proposed house or potential house, you look around the neighborhood, you have weeds here, you have an unkept lawn here, you have dead flowers here. If we can afford it, we need to do those things that make at least the community inviting. I've gone door to door in almost every part of this city, and there are times where I'll turn the corner and go, my God, I would not want to live here, because half the houses are foreclosed on, and the yards and the blight in that neighborhood, no one in their right mind would buy there when you could go half a mile up the street and buy in a neighborhood that is well kept. So, and I don't believe it would cost a whole lot, because we already have, and the CSD with the partnership already has the type of workers and equipment to help upkeep lawns and flowers and those sorts of ways. So that would be the one area I think we might be able to help upon.
Thank you. And I think we have time just for one more question. So,
Okay.
Foon, if you will please direct that first to Mr. Johnson.
Sure. So if the candidates could address what they think about expanding the sphere of influence, and specifically how you would address some of the concerns that have been expressed by the folks down in Wilton.
And I'm sorry, this is
Yes,
I
you-
apologize. I support the SOI because Elk Grove has been and always will be about local control. Back in 2000, even before then, the people of Elk Grove pursued cityhood because they wanted local control. They didn't think that they were getting the representation they needed here in the Board of Supervisors. So we created our own city because we wanted local control over our own area. A couple years ago, we sought after a charter because a charter allows more local control. A city with a charter can do things that other cities can't. And with the SOI, again, it's about local control. The people who govern that SOI area should be the people who live with the day-to-day consequences of what happens there. As Elk Grove butting right up against that area, we're the ones who live with the consequences of what happens there. We're the ones who should be the ones controlling it, not people from Folsom, the city of Sac, who don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So I support the SOI. However, I also support making sure that we do not build in the floodplain. We absolutely have to prohibit that.
Thank you. And Mr. Davis.
I ran for the Elk Grove City Council 4 years ago because Elk Grove was growing out of control. I mean, there wasn't a residential subdivision that the council didn't see that it liked. And as a result, we have 143,000 residents. We have only 30,000 jobs. So when the community gave me the opportunity to serve, you know, I found myself in a place, and the council now is in a place where we have the most horrific jobs housing imbalance in place. And if we were just simply to say no more growth will occur, then what's going to happen is we will have cemented in place forever the worst imbalance anywhere in the greater Sacramento region. So what's important moving forward is that growth that does occur is in jobs. And I'm proud to say that I've been a very consistent champion working in cooperation with the Wilton residents, even though they're not in the city of Elk Grove, to pull the to pull the sphere of influence application line back not once, but twice. And I'll tell you, it's been a divisive issue on the council. It was a 3-2 vote to pull that SOI out of the floodplain, but I've been a champion for it, and I will continue to be a champion for it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to closing statements. Mr. Davis?
I've worked innovatively to improve the economic climate in Elk Grove and create jobs. Violent crime has decreased under my watch every single year. We stopped runaway growth, and we started building a community that we can be proud of. And because of that, I'm proud to be endorsed by the Elk Grove Chamber of Commerce PAC, the Elk Grove Police Officers Association, the Elk Grove Firefighters, and the Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Regional Builders Exchange, the Central Labor Council. The list goes on, including dozens and dozens of community leaders all over Elk Grove. As someone who is leading for change, as I am, Elk Grove must be laser focused on creating good jobs and rebuilding our local economy. I will continue to balance the budget each and every year and get even more police officers on the streets. I'm grateful to say that we just got an increase this last week. As a father of 3 young children, I'm a former school board member. Professionally, I work as a statewide leader in education reform and fixing our public schools, and also the founder of 2 community parks and youth sports organizations. I know what it takes to build a strong community. I have the experience. I'm committed to fighting for it, and I hope I have your vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jimmy Johnson.
Thank you, Tricia. Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. For the last half hour, we've been talking about all the problems that Elk Grove has. Well, you don't fix the problems by re-electing the same politicians who created the problems. The establishment loves Gary Davis. They're making a fortune on Gary Davis. That's why they've endorsed him, and that's why they've put a couple $100,000 into his political war chest. But it's us, it's the people of Elk Grove who are having to live with those consequences. We need a change. You don't make a change by re-electing the same old politicians, making the same tired excuses of why they haven't gotten anything done in the next 4 years. If we're going to make the change we need on November 2nd, we need to bring in someone new, with new ideas, who isn't bound by the special interests, and who will do things on behalf of Elk Grove, not the people who put a couple $100,000 in his back pocket. We need a change, and on November 2nd, with your vote, that is what we exactly will do.
Thank you both for joining us today. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission, I thank the candidates and our panelists for participating. I would also like to thank the many volunteers who made this forum possible today. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that a democracy depends upon the informed and active participation of its citizens. We hope that the insights you have gained from today's forum will help you make an informed vote on November 2nd. For voter information and rebroadcast times, please visit our Smart Voter website at www.smartvoter.org or the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County website at www.lwvsacramento.org. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to true civic improvement. Please remember to vote on November 2nd and help make this democracy work. Thank you.